Hello, I'm Brian, and welcome to another episode of Magic Arena Gameplay. So in this episode, I'm going to introduce to you the pre-constructed deck, Massive Menagerie. I'll talk about what the deck does, and also discuss some of the card choices inside, and I will make some suggestions on what cards you can put into the deck to upgrade the deck, essentially for free. What that means is that you don't need to use any of your wildcards reserve, or you don't need to use any of the gold you earned by playing the game to pull from packs as well. All the cards that I suggest putting into the deck comes from other pre-constructed deck that they have given to you. So basically, if you have all the pre-constructed decks acquired, which requires you for like only a single week of gameplay, you should be able to upgrade this deck to the deck list that I suggested at no cost at all. So let's take a look at what the deck does before we start to look at the upgrades. First of all, this is a blue-green deck. You see island, forest here. You have blue spells and then you have green spells. This is a ram deck. For those of you who might not be very familiar with the term RAM deck, maybe you are new to Magic the Gathering. RAM, there is a very old card, a Rampant Growth, that says 1 and a green, search your library for a land card, a basic land card, put it into play, and then shuffle a library. So basically, it breaks up the play pattern of a single land per turn. Because it allows you to, for 2 mana, you can search your library for a land card and then put it into play. So instead of having 2 land in play on turn 2, you can have 3. And then on turn 3, you can get to untap and then you put more lands into play. That way you can accelerate yourself on mana and to play some of the more powerful spells that are more expensive at a very early early turns. So this deck also does the same thing. Wolf Haven, Cultivate, Llanowar, Visionary. These are cards that tries to ramp you into some of the more expensive spells. Things like Elder Gargaroth, Serpents, here, Kargla, Thorn Mammoth as well. They are powerful and expensive spells. If you are like say play a land per turn and then you just at turn 6 you put a Kargla, the Titan Ape into play, it is not very it's not a very legitimate strategy. However, if you let's say you Wolf Haven and then you cast Cultivate as well, and then on turn 4 or maybe 5 you can get to cast Kargla, the Titan Ape, or Serpent of the Yawning Depths as well, and the game is if your opponent fails to remove them, the game will end very quickly because they will have to face a creature that is very large. They are not going to be easily blocked. Now, there are cards that I do not agree in this deck, and I'll talk about it, and that cards that you should cut from the deck. The first one is Witching Well. It is a blue artifact for 1 blue. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2 for 4 mana, sacrifice this to draw 2 cards. In this current standard rotation, they already have a card that is 4 mana for an instant that says scry 2 and then draw 2 cards. This Witching Well does the same effect for 1 mana more, and then it also does it at basically sorcery speed because it has to be casted and put into play at a sorcery speed, and then afterwards you can sacrifice it at will. It's not something that you would want to put in the deck, so we are going to cut it out. We'll add some card drawing spells in afterwards, so don't worry about it. Almighty Bushwhack, 1 mana for 1/1 trample. For 4 mana, you can make it a +3/+3, so basically a 4/4. However, this is not a very good creature. It forces you to pour manas into it, and to make it a respectable attacking threat. So it's not something that you want to do if your opponent also can find a way to respond to your 4-mana trigger by like something, let's say like a shock that is for 1 red mana. You can deal 2 damage to target creature, and then it will kill the Brushwhack before the +3/+3 is applied to it. So basically you spend all those 4 manas for nothing, which is a very bad tempo swing, which you should avoid. So Almighty Brushwhack gets the cut. Menagerie Pixie, you can saw here a green and a blue for a 2/2 flying. It is very powerful. 2 mana gets a flying 2/2 creature is very good, and it also taps 1 mana as well. So it originally is a very good card. However, because this is a basic deck, a pre-constructed deck, it doesn't have a very good mana base. It doesn't have the pathway that is available in the new set. So it makes the casting of Menagerie Pixie a somewhat awkward at times. You have to find a green and a blue, and sometimes that's just not plausible. Maybe you just have all 4 reds, and then this Menagerie Pixie simply sits in your hand, and then it doesn't help you in any way. It's basically a dead card sitting in your hand. So yeah, this one will get a cut. We'll have another creature that replaces it in the future. Here, Fully Grown is also a card that I don't really like. For 3 mana, you get a target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, and then put a trample counter on it. This is a card that simply is too expensive for its effect, so it has to get the cut. Alright, Keeper of Fables, 5 mana, 4/5, that says whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. This creature is not a very good creature. You can say that maybe when you have like a non-human creature in play, and then you can put this Keeper of Fables and then attack with that creature, and then you can immediately draw a card. However, that simply is not the case. Maybe your opponent will have a very good blocker, and when you have a Keeper of Fables, they are not going to allow you to attack into their face and then simply takes the damage. That's not going to happen, because they know that how powerful it is to allow you to draw a card. So they either will kill your Keeper of Fables or kill your creature, or that you simply have a board state where you simply can't attack into your opponent, and then this Keeper of Fables is basically a dead card that is a 5 mana 4/5 that does nothing. This is not a very good card. It looks like a very good card, but it really isn't. So it is going to get the cut. Servant of Yawning Depths and Pursued Whales, these two kind of does the same thing, that tries to make your creature unblockable, and then you can end the game because you can attack it into your opponent and then just finish the game quickly that way. However, because these two doesn't protect itself very well, and it has to wait for a turn to attack, and then when it comes into play, it basically does nothing as well. So it's not these two are not a very good card that you would want to put in your deck. This is not the payoff that you should be looking for in a deck when you are trying to ramp. Compare this with like something like a Kogla, the Titan Ape. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you do not control. So when you put a Kogla into play, you can have it fight, which is basically have 2 creatures go deal damage with each other. You can see here the description: when 2 creatures fight each other, it deals non-combat damage equal to its power to each other. So because a Kogler is a very large creature, 7/6, usually it can fight another creature and then survive no problem. So basically, you put Kogler into play and you can kill some of your opponent's creatures, and then you also have a creature that sits on your battlefield to maybe put up some of the defense as well, and then you threaten to attack on the next turn as well. They will have to try to find a way to deal with your Kogler. However, even by dealing with your Kogler, they have already lose a creature on the board in the process, so it makes an impact when it enters the battlefield, and then it forces your opponent to deal with it as well. However, if it is like something like a Servant of Yawning Death, when it comes into play, your opponent can simply just cast a Heartless Act to destroy it, and then nothing happens. So basically, this is not a creature that you are looking to play in this deck. For Mammoth, the same case. This is a creature that we are going to keep in our deck simply because when it enters the battlefield, it can fight another target creature that you do not control. So it immediately has a broad presence, and then it also helps you kill some of the creatures that is on your opponent's board as well. Alright, so let's take a look at the upgraded list. So here is the upgraded deck list. All the upgraded cards are available through other pre-constructed decks as well. So basically, you do not need to spend any wild cards. You do not need to spend any gold to try to do this upgrade. Before we start, I have already leave a link for this deck list, so you can go to click on it and then copy the deck list, and then you just import it into the MPGA, and then you just can go play with the deck. Okay, now let's introduce some of the cards that has been added to the deck. Primal Might is another fight effect that is very powerful. You can make your creatures much larger, and then it fights your one of the creatures to get them out of the way, and then you attack for more damage. Pretty good. Elysian Caryatid. This is the one that has been that has replaced the Menagerie Pixie, the 2/2 flyer. This one is much easier to class. Instead of a specific green and a specific blue, it is only a green and any color that can be cast. And then it also adds 1 mana of any color. So it helps you fix your mana, and then it also have a somewhat relevant text that if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana of any color instead of 1. So this deck looks to cast a lot of large creatures onto the battlefield, and this line of text will sometimes be relevant as well. Midnight Clock, 3 mana artifact. This one might not be as familiar to you, so I'll just read it out. So for you can tap to add blue. So basically, it is another kind of ramp spells. And at the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. When a 12 counter is put on it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, and then draw 7 cards. So basically, if nothing else is done after around 6 turns, because it adds a counter on each upkeep. After 6 turns, this clock will tick, and then it exiles itself, and then you just draw a new 7 hand. A very powerful effect. Most likely, you at a later turn, you'll be down to like say 3, maybe 4, 2 cards in hand. And this Midnight Clock will allow you to basically refill your hand. Once you put this clock into the battlefield, your opponent will be hard-pressed to try to get rid of it. And once the clock ticks up, you continue to put your creatures into play as well. So your opponent will have to try to deal with the artifact and also to try to deal with your creatures, so it kind of attacks your opponent in a different angle. Brazen Blower is a 3 mana deck, flash, flying 3/1 creature, but the most important part of it is the adventure spell. Petty Theft, 1 and a blue that return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. It is a very useful instant that can interact with your opponent's creatures, and then sometimes if you want to temporarily remove one of your opponent's threats from the battlefield as well. It can do that. Very useful card. We can only put one copy into the deck simply because you only have one among all of your pre-constructed deck. Alright, so here another adventure creature, Lovestruck Beast. If you have been playing Standard for a while, this is a very familiar card. So it's a 3 mana for a 5/5 that cannot attack unless you control a 1/1, and then you can also cast the adventure side of it, which is Heart's Desire, 1 mana to create a 1/1 white human creature token. In this deck, the Lovestruck Beast is also very powerful. On turn 3, you put a 5/5, either you're attacking it into your opponent, or when you're facing like a mono red deck, you're putting a 5/5 into the way to act as a blocker. It's a very useful card on its own, and if you have it, chances are it can win you games on its own. It is a pity that we only have 1 copies available throughout all the pre-constructed decks as well. So more copies will always be welcome in this deck. Alright, Return of the Wild Speaker. So you can see here, choose one, draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Very useful. It is an instant, so it sometimes surprises your opponent. It gives you the option of drawing cards. So you usually have creatures in the battlefield. If you have, say, like a Snapper that is a 4-power creature in the battlefield, then Return of the Wild Speaker draws you 4 cards. Very powerful indeed. Notice that your opponent can destroy the greatest power of creatures when you resolve this spell to make you draw less cards. So try to avoid that. If you only have 1 creature in the battlefield and that you suspect your opponent may have an instant removal in their hand, you should try to avoid casting the Return of the Wild Speaker to try to draw cards. And the overrun mode, the +3/+3 for each non-human creature you control mode, also can be very handy. If you have, like, say, 3 creatures that are attacking your opponent and they go unblocked, and then suddenly you can add 9 more attacking powers into it, and if they block incorrectly, sometimes that can kill them. Iron Scale Hydra is another card that has been put into the deck. So this is a 5 mana 5/5. If a creature would deal combat damage to Iron Scale Hydra, prevent that damage and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this is a creature that is very hard to kill in combat. Your opponent cannot try to use creatures that are bigger than the Iron Scale Hydra to block it and to stop it in its way, because it will just prevent those combat damage, and then it will grow bigger when it does. And also, if your opponent is trying to chump block it in any way, it will not do that very well, because the Hydra will just becomes bigger and bigger, and then at some point they will just connect one hit and it might be lethal. A very powerful creature. Also, because it is a 5/5, your opponent will find it very hard to deal with. Let's say the current burn spell that most people run only deals maybe 4 damage or 3 damage, which is not enough to deal with them. The Iron Scale Hydra. So sometimes they are hard pressed to just put 2 burn spells to kill it, which is very good for you and not very good for them. Shark Typhoon, this is a 6 mana enchantment spell that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can create shark tokens. Very powerful indeed. However, in this deck, it usually isn't cast as an enchantment because you don't have a lot of non-creature spells. Instead, you should try to use the cycling effect. So X1 and a blue, when you can cycle it, you can discard the Shark Typhoon and then draw a fresh new card. And then when you cycle this Shark Typhoon, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. Very versatile. In the early game, if you are facing a lot of pressure, you can instantly cycle say a 2/2 shark or maybe a 3/3 shark to block your opponent's attacking creatures, and maybe in the process killing the creatures as well. Your opponent might not be suspecting it. They also cannot stop it with a counter spell, because the cycling is an ability and not a spell that is cast. Also, in the late game, if your opponent somehow finds a board wipe that just sweeps the board, destroy all creatures that you control, you can then at instant speed cycle Shark Typhoon to put a big shark into play, because at that moment you most likely will have a lot of mana available. So presenting the Shark Typhoon is a very powerful option, and your opponent will have to figure out how to deal with that shark again, which might be very difficult for them to do. Kyurabes the Sea God. This is the replacement for those Pursued Veils or Serpent of Yawning Depths. Those creatures are not very powerful. However, Kyurabes the Sea God is very powerful. Once you resolve it, basically it's game over for your opponent. For the first chapter, which is Kyurabes the Sea God, it enters play. It gives you an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token with Hexproof. So your opponent cannot use creature removal, target creature removal spells on it. They will have to find a board wipe to try to remove the Kraken. And then, even if they have removed the Kraken, they still have the second and the third chapter to deal with. The second chapter is that it taps all non-land permanents target opponent controls, and they do not untap. So this guarantees that they do not have the use of they cannot attack with their creatures. Also, because of their creatures have been tapped down, the following turn, if you try to attack into them, then you are going to attack through. So it's very powerful. And then on the third chapter, gain control of target permanent and opponent controls, untap it. This is a permanent effect. When you take control of, say, the most powerful permanent that your opponent controls, you retain it until it is destroyed or it leaves game. So a very powerful effect overall, and usually if you resolve this against your opponent, the game is pretty much over. This is the kind of 7 mana payoffs that you should be using in a ramp spell, in a ramp deck. Alright, so I have introduced all the new cards that has been put into this deck. Let's go to see some gameplay and see the deck in action. Okay, let's see. A little bit of ramp, a payoff to draw 4 cards as well. Let's keep. Okay, pass. This is mono red. They play mono red. I don't think I have time for this. Alright. We ram as hard as we can and then we die. Alright, this is a goblin version of mono red. No bluff. Thank you. Alright. If I play the beast right away, this pays for 2 mana, but I don't have any use for it. Alright, let's just let's see. Alright, let's no funny business. Let's just do this and then this. Yeah, present a blocker in front of them. They can use the Globin Gang Leader. Oh, the Raid Bombardment version of it. I don't think we are I think we are dead, but okay. We didn't draw a land, we missed it. Alright, let's continue to play out these creatures. I don't think they have a way to deal with a wide board, at least not very quickly. But if they land the raid bombardment, we are in big trouble. We failed to draw land 2 seconds for consecutive turns. Alright, put this one into play. Put this one into play as well. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can continue to ramp. Or we can try to counter that raid bombardment, bounce some of the things. They're going to draw a shark. Yeah, holding up Sublime Epiphany right now seems pretty good, but I really wanted to hold on for another turn. Can we do this? No, the best bet we are going to get is copying the Love Struck Beast with the third mode. Yeah, I think we need to hold up this Sublime Epiphany here. No attacks, end of turn. Our end game should be more better than them. We should be able to muster up much more muscle in a way. And once our fight creatures enters combat or enters play, they should not be able to keep a board for very long. This is the only way that we hope to draw out the game. They have a shock. And they have a bombardment. They have a gang leader that they don't have the land to cast, and then 3 other cards as well. So let's see. Relic Robber. This is not a card that we will allow to. So this is a 3 mana for 2/2 haste. Whenever this deals combat damage to a player, that player creates a artifact that basically deals damage to me. Should we counter it? I mean, you cannot hit us. You can't hit us. I don't think you can hit us. Okay. Alright. I think I can do one of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. Blue, green, this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. That way we continue to hold up Sublime Epiphany. No attacks. Yeah, next turn we might be able to kill our best Sea Guard, and then can we hold up mana for this as well? Is it too greedy? I don't know. But we have to stop something. If they let the raid bombardment hit the battlefield, we are going to die. Alright. 1 elf gone. And that's it. So you can see here, this deck, if it doesn't stumble, and with a Love Struck Beast, that we are very lucky to draw because we have a only 1 copy in this deck. But you can see that the Love Struck Beast help us hold down the fort in the early game, stopping the early goblins to hit the battlefield, and then our opponent obviously stumbles a little bit on the land, but they usually have quite a low mana curve as well. Wow. Next comes Torbrand as well. Yeah, so basically they should be able to play out their hand pretty easily. However, they did draw 2 gang leader. Yeah, so once we have mustered up enough defense, Kyurobes the Sea Gods, Sublime Epiphany to stop whatever threatening threats, maybe raid bombardment, maybe a Ember Cleave, which should be able to close out the game with some of the beefiest, like Beanstalk Giant, that's very big, the Kraken, that's very big as well. And if they allow our clock to tick to 12, for some reason, if they just drag on that long, then we can draw a fresh hand and they will just be dead. So yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so this is a starting hand. Let's see. Alright, so we have 3 lands. We are guaranteed to cast this Cultivate. We have a ramp through that doesn't interact with our opponents very well. However, we have the Shark Typhoon that maybe we can cycle in at some point. Let's give it a try. We are on the play as well, so might not more lands. Meh. I want creatures. I don't think I need more lands. I need creatures that I can use the ramp through to help stabilize. Alright. Let's see what our opponents are on. Are they mono white or are they... They're mono white. Okay. Alright, so Draenor Menagerie, your opponents cannot cast spells from anywhere other than their hand. So that means our adventure spells cannot be cast if we put it onto adventure. That could be a bit of a problem. Let's cycle this Boon of the Wishgiver first. I expect that the deck will be very aggressive as well. So, alright. Alright, let's put the island into play. Alright. Elite Spellbinder, oh my god. They must take the Shark Typhoon, right? Yeah, they do. This 4-land hand and then a ramp through is not good. This is not helping at all. Alright, maybe we are going to take quite a beating before we can come back. Assuming that we can have a comeback, that is. Alright, opponent have the 4th land, and then Elite Spellbinder to take away the final ramp through. And I'm on all land. A bit of a flood. I mean, there are 26 lands in the deck. So... Ooh, and a Selfless Savior. This game is over. I don't know what I can draw to that can do anything for us. There's a draw. Okay. Let's put a plan into play. I should put this one into play. A misplay, actually. Alright. If I put this into play, which creature I'm going to fight is gonna be saved by the Selfless Savior, right? Right. Well, anyway. Let's just try to have them sack the Selfless Savior. This Selfless Savior, one sacrifice, give a creature indestructibility, so that even if we deal damage to it, it doesn't die in the progress. However, they don't have a way to try to attack through us, so that is always good. They killed my Wolfwiller Haven, but that's okay, because we already have a lot of mana. Ooh, another land is not what we are looking to have. Oh my god. And we cannot attack as well, or we are dead in the backswing. Oh my god, our opponent just has everything. Okay. Alright. A little bit of flood. Unfortunate, but that's what happens sometimes. Alright. So you can see here our opponent is on Yorion, the Sky Nomad. Basically that means their deck is very likely to be a control matchup. We have a good hand. We can Temple on 1, Island on 2, and then Wolf Willow Haven. And then on the third turn, even if we do not draw any lands, we can Cultivate or Llanowar Elf Visionary, depending on what is appropriate. And then the Elder Gargaroth, I think it will be destroyed, but let's give this a try. Well, okay, card draw. It is always better to just give them something that is less worthy to destroy. They will have to think about it a little bit more. Okay, our opponent might be on the Sultai Yorion deck list. I suspect it is a stock list as well, so they have a lot of powerful cards. They buy Yorion? No? That means they might be presenting counter spells of some sort. Alright, now let's see if this Cultivate resolves. Yes? Or the Llanowar. Well, we have a lot of Visionary. Let's see if this resolves. Another one of the sea for my opponent as well. Okay. Alright. My opponent loves what he sees on top. Alright, now we have 5 manas on the battlefield. We can cast the Elder Gargaroth, but I don't think it is the way. Yeah, finding the old gods, they are too quick to Oh! They destroy the enchantment. Huh. Interesting. Let's see. Now that our opponent is tapped out and then they have 4 mana right now, I don't think we are in a lot of trouble. And I suspect that they have a Yorion in hand as well, so that they can maybe play an untapped land and then blink this Binding and then this Omen of the Sea. So let's go with this one then. Let's see what we draw. Might change our play a little bit. Alright, we play the island, present the petty theft. It really isn't relevant, to be honest. I don't want to bounce these things for my opponent so that they can do this all over again, but... And they now buy Yorion. Okay. In that case, I really don't want to do the Elder Gargaroth because they can next turn play Yorion, blink these enchantments, and then do all this again. I think the game is already over, but we'll try to fight a little bit. Alright, let's see. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Let's play the Visionary, draw a fresh card. Maybe we'll do something different. We already played our land as well, so... alright. I think my opponent will already be having a... may already have a Emergent Ultimatum in hand that they can resolve as well. Or even if they do not, just resolving a Yorion to blink these two Omen of the Sea gets them so far into the game. They can get to scry for 4 cards deep and then to draw 2 cards as well. So very powerful. Alright, now they have a black and then another black or green. So, ooh, Sublime Epiphany. Now, if they have Heartless Act, we play the Fawn Mammoth, that would be very bad. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 9 mana. We cannot protect the Elder Gargaroth in any way. The Sublime Epiphany is just... but we can't continue to wait it out, I think. Well, let's do this. See if my opponent wants to do something about it. Does it work? Heartless Act? Heartless Act the 5/5. Strange. Okay. Alright, I'll just attack with the 1/1. Alright, let's see. My opponent can have, with black, they can have, what you might call it, Emergent Ultimatum, yay! Alright, let's see what they pick. They can get to pick 3 cards from their deck. We put one of them back into their library, and then, the other 2 will be resolved. Very powerful card. And this is a very stock list of Yorion as well. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. This is a very typical, the so-called Ultimatum package. Now, alright, let's see. We cannot give them another turn because that will just kill us. Is it? Maybe... or maybe we can... I don't want to give them another turn. Yeah, just put the... Usually this is the point where you put Epiphany and then let them have Valky and Wildcards. Okay, full control. Alright, so we allow our opponent to resolve the Wildcards. And then we bounce the Wildcards. Okay, that way, because the Wildcards can make the Tybalt immediately ultimate and then it is game over. However, because we bounce the Wildcards, the Tybalt will only come into play with 5 5 of the loyalty counter. So it is not really game over for us yet. We're very close to that. Don't don't get me wrong, but yeah, we have to get the Tybalt out of the way. But can we attack? 1, 2, 1, 2. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 mana. I think we leave the mana up.
Oh, it's not fair.
Should we? Alright, let's see. Or maybe we can try to draw 4 cards, but it doesn't do us any good, I think. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We haven't played a land, did we? In that case, we can cultivate. Alright, so we can here pick. I'll just pick 2 blue. Yeah, and then alright. That way we leave up the Sublime Epiphany as well to try to get into our next turn. If they try to resolve another powerful cards as well, we are going to. Okay, they want to get another turn. They can get another turn. Just 2 birds is not very scary. They can chump block. I mean, okay, they get 1 more land. What are they gonna cast? Alright. This game is a bit of an over, but Drake's Cultivator. That doesn't kill us. Uh-huh. Put it on the battlefield. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another Seagate Restoration. No. No. Bounce, copy, draw. Alright, so counter your spell. Bounce the Cultivator. Copy my Lenovo and Visionary. And I draw a card. Alright, I would say we are putting up quite a good fight. Not that we are going to win. I'm pretty sure we are not. But yeah. Alright. Okay, let's see. What if we put this into play and then ram through? That deals 5 damage to their face. Remove 1 of the blockers as well. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because they are going to trump block 1. 7 and 5, that's 12. Not close enough, but okay. I think we have to do it this way. Let's see what they do. They might wanna chump block. Okay. Now, the question is, do we want to put the Elder Gagarov in? They have 1 unknown card and then they get to draw another card as well. And then they have 4 Mammoth as well. We should be very careful about this one. Maybe we can bait them into using a Fawn Mammoth. And then we can use the Ram through to ruin it. Doesn't sound like a very good plan though, isn't it? Yeah, let's. We have to give it a try. We have to put up this fight. We just have to. We have fight through a lot of the cards. We have fight through the Valkyrie. We have fight through the Restoration. We can't fight through another Emergent Ultimatum. But I don't think the Emergent Ultimatum is very good. The Valkyrie is already out of the deck. The Seagate they can pick another Seagate Restoration and maybe another extra turn spells as well. Ooh, this is hard. Fighting against this kind of full tier 1 list is very difficult. But I think we put up a pretty good fight. If they give us a creature, we are going to. Alright, they want another turn, or just let them have all our boards. I don't think their other turn would be very devastating. I'll just put the extinction event back in and then let them have another turn. they can wipe out my okay. Yeah, they can't destroy my Elder Gargaroth in the process. And they have the bird. Cultivator, you get it. Get another land, and then they have another turn. So they still have Warring Clax, which is very powerful. Fawn Mammoth. Okay. You want to beat me on my own game? Think again. They have an instant. Okay, that way it doesn't fight us. My turn. Alright, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, I should attack first. I'll attack, try to draw a card, see what we get. I think a fresh new card is going to help us more than they take it? Okay. Alright, what do they have? Nothing. Okay. We're putting up quite a good fight, but I suspect that this is not enough. We need to draw another fight spell. Yes, we need to draw another fight spell is what we need. Oh, they have a counter spell? Not another not another fight spell, but a fresh hand is always good. Okay. What is that card? That seems strange. The Warring Clax could be problematic. Alright, let's put this one on the battlefield as well. Tap out, see how our opponent is going to do it. Sacrificing Omen, that's a good sign. It means that they're trying to dig for something. They don't like the top of their library very much. They scry again, and they don't find it as well. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Whew. Okay, we are putting up quite a good fight. Cultivate, that's not what they're looking for. No, that's definitely not what they're looking for. Warring Clax. Okay. Alright, let's see it. Kagla. Draw a card. Fight your Warring Clax. Alright, attack. I'll just go for Beast. We want more power to finish the game very quickly. Okay, Trump block. Alright, we are presenting lethal here, so you can see we can continue to put a Thunderous Snapper and then a Hydra into play as well. However, I don't think that is the play, because if they draw like a extinction event or some kind of destroy spells, or they draw a lot of cards and then they have a lot of answers for us, for our board, life would be sad. However, we have the Shark Typhoon and we also have the Brazen Borrower as well, so we should pass the turn. And not play out these creatures for them to be destroyed and tap out our mana as well. Oh my god. We beat a Sultai Yorion pile. That is quite a list. I mean, their deck is very powerful. Look at this. They cast Seagate Restoration. They have a Yorion that has been resolved and playing 2 of their Omens as well. They have the Warring Clax. They have all the powerful cards. They also have Valkyrie and Elrond's Epiphany and all kinds of stuff. But this is not going to beat us. I would think that we are very lucky. We get the cards that we need at the right time. We have the Sublime Epiphany. that stops them from resolving the Seagate Restoration. If they have resolved it and draw a fresh new hand, chances are we are going to lose that way. And also we have ramp through that interacts very well with their creature as well, and also a timely brazen borrower with a petty theft that bounces their warring keks so that the table cannot enter with 10 loyalty is also very key as well. I would say we are very lucky, but then we still beat the Yorion pile, so it's a very good game, very good game. And we are back with the post-game wrap-up. So the deck feels pretty smooth. There are games that maybe we'll get Mana Screwed or Mana Flood, and we might not be playing a game, but most of the time we can do the ramp, we can do the cultivate, carry it, and then we present some snappers, and Elder Gargaroth, I don't expect this card to actually get to attack. Most of the time it hits the battlefield and then your opponent just immediately removes it, and that's what I expected as well, but in some of the games you can see that it attacks for sometimes twice or thrice, and then basically those games is over for the opponent. The value generator from the Elder Gargaroth is just so good. We do not have any planeswalkers that can generate value, do powerful things each turn. However, the Elder Gargaroth that can stick around and attack, that is basically the next best thing that you can get. Also, the Shark Typhoon, sometimes it plays, it does its job. I'm kind of, I don't know why, but there are no times that I find cycling the Shark Typhoon is a correct play, but I have to reassure you, cycling the Shark Typhoon is the correct play. You should not just slam the Shark Typhoon into play. I think I have played out the Shark Typhoon in one game against Mono Black, and that is because I expect them to not have an easy time aside from an Ugin to remove my Shark Typhoon. We ended up losing that game anyway because we allowed them to reach Ugin, and then they just continue to play an Ugin and play the demon to fetch more Ugins, and then we basically just that. And also, one of the Wish Giver, you can see that it's very powerful. If you draw 4 cards, chances are you just get so ahead of the game, and your opponent will be very hard to catch up. So you can see here, that's why I give this a knot instead of the well, because the well only draws you 2 cards and then just give you a scry 2 as well, which isn't really exactly a card. In here, Boon of the Wish Giver, you can usually ramp up to 6 mana no problem, and then you get to cast it and then draw 4 cards. Whether you are down on resources or back against the wall kind of desperate situation, drawing 4 cards gives you a lot of answers. And if you are way ahead on board already, you have 1 to 2 very powerful creatures on the board, drawing 4 cards just seals the game. Your opponent, even if they find a way to deal with the board, they are very likely to already have tapped out or all their mana, and then you just continue to resolve your powerful threats, and also continue to send back maybe some ramps, a ramp through the fight spells that allows you to continue to interact with your opponent's creatures as well. Kagla, very sweet. As a 1 copy in our deck, it comes out to do does its job quite a number of times actually. They killed a lot of very powerful creatures. So 7/6 that comes into play and then just fight the creature is nothing to be scoffed at. And 4 Mammoth doesn't come up as often, but still does his job. It is worth mentioning, if 4 Mammoth comes down to play against, something like a mono red list, the game is basically over, because at each turn you can not only when the form Mammoth comes into play, it can fight something else. Each turn you can just play another creature, maybe just a Llanowar Visionary, and then this Mammoth says that when the Mammoth or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it fights, the Mammoth fights up to one type creature you do not control. So basically, every creature spells become a fight spell for the Mammoth if it is in play as well. Very powerful. Didn't have a chance to play the Iron Scale Hydra. I'm not sure if this is the right creature in the deck. I'm not sure why, but I've played quite a number of games with this deck, but either I didn't draw it or that I didn't have the chance to play it. So I don't know, but it doesn't feel that I'm not sure if this creature is the right one. If you have a 5 mana creature, if you have some of the random cards that rewards to you that is a 5 mana for a creature that is very big and does its thing as well, does its thing very well as well, you can substitute the Iron Scale Hydra with that creature and see if it works with you, or the Hydra is better or not. Return of the Wild Speaker doesn't come up as often, but the potential to draw more cards is also very good. The Return of the Wild Speaker combined with Boon of the Wishgiver give us a lot more games against other mid-range decks, so to speak. And the Sublime Epiphany, oftentimes, because we only have one copy in the deck, oftentimes you really wanted to save it for the one spell that really matters. But in a sense, try not to hold on to it too much. The most key part of the Sublime Epiphany is not just about countering a spell. Of course, if you have a way to counter a spell, it is very cool. But aside from countering the spells, it can also counter a activated or triggered ability. Let's say if you have an opponent that has played a Yorion, so instead of countering your Yorion, you can wait for the Yorion's end step trigger to come up and then counter that trigger ability, then all the exiled stuff will remain exiled and will not come back into play. So it does come up in some situations. And then also the return non-land permanent for its owner's hand is a relevant mode as well. And then create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. In some of the gameplay, you could see that we have used this mode to copy not some very powerful creatures like a Kargler. Don't copy Kargler. It is legendary. It will legend rule itself. But Fort Mammoth or maybe a Keola Best Sea God tokens, but it doesn't have to be. If we have copied something like a Llanowar Visionary, and it's still very good. It comes into play, it gives you another mana, it gives you another body, it draws you a card as well. So you can see here, that's why I have made sure that actually most of the cards, most of the creatures that are played in this deck either are very powerful in and of itself, something like a Snapper that helps us draw cards, is the glue to glue our deck together, or that they comes into play and then does something like a Kargler or the Fort Mammoth as well. So that the Sublime Epiphany, even a Llanowar Visionary, when it comes into play, it does something as well. So the Sublime Epiphany, copying a creature, is always a relevant mode in this deck. Didn't draw in the Primal Might in any of the games, but I think this is a very good card. If you draw into it and then you get to play it, you'll see how powerful it is. The mana wise, you can see sometimes that I get Menagerie and is desperately looking for a green or a blue, but with you resolving maybe a Carriated or a Cultivate, that problem usually is solved. The deck is not very color intensive in a way. The most color intensive card is Kakla, which requires you to have 3 green, but it is a 6 mana card. If you get to 6 mana, chances are you are already on 3 greens, so this should not be a problem. So yeah, the deck is pretty sweet. I would say this: do not try to spend your wild cards to upgrade these decks. First of all, these decks are going to be rotated in September, so there is no point in upgrading them. And second of all, I would suggest that you continue to play with these decks, see which kind of decks you actually wanted to play, and also play against other people's decks, and then to see if some of the more top tier lists fancies you, and then you should then spend those hard-earned wildcards to create those decks. That is the way that I think should be going forward, especially with a rotation coming in. So when in doubt, try to hold it on. Alright, so that's the end of the video. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I would be making more of these introductory videos to other pre-constructed decks as well. I don't think I'm going to make all of them, because some of the pre-constructed decks I would think is just inherently inferior. Some of the decks just doesn't measure up to most of the decks that are getting played right now, and no amounts of fixing them is going to work. And I simply don't think that spending wildcards to upgrade that list, so to speak, is gonna help them in any way. So yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and as always, I'm Brian, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Goodbye!